Hey guys, Pastor Jenna here. We're going to do something different today. I have my fun little stick puppet characters here, and we are going to learn a lesson today about a new attribute of God, where we're learning our series of attributes of God, or what is God like. Today's message is on God is trustworthy. Okay, so let's first talk about this word trustworthy. It's pretty much just how it sounds, trustworthy, meaning that you are worthy to be trusted. So just like your parents say, stay away from strangers, don't trust strangers. The reason we don't trust strangers is because we don't know them. We don't know how they're going to behave, how they're going to act, or how they might treat us. But when we know someone, we have a relationship with them, then we can call them trustworthy because we know that they are someone who can be trusted. We know that in the past they have been trusted, they have been safe, they have done good things for us, and that history with them is what makes them trustworthy. So if we have a history with God, and if we know God, and if we have a relationship with Him, we can remember times when He has been good to us before. We can know that He has been faithful, that He has comforted us, that He has taken us through other problems and trials. So because of those past experiences with God, we can trust Him. So that is how we can know that God is trustworthy. So today's lesson is about a guy named Daniel. Here's my friend Daniel. Now first let me give you a little bit of history, okay? Because I know that the Bible is really long, and probably most of you kiddos, or maybe all of you kiddos, have not read the whole Bible, so you might not know the whole story. So I'll just give you a quick breakdown. So we have God's people, and God would always promise them, I will bless you, I will give you good things if only you will follow me. And time again, they would break that deal, break that covenant or deal that they had with the Lord. It's kind of like if your parents say like, hey, we're gonna go to the store and get an ice cream later, but I need you to clean your room. That's the deal that we have. So, if you follow the rules, if you clean your room, then we're gonna get the ice cream. It's, I need you to do this and then I will do that. But I want to get you the ice cream, but you still have to keep up a part of the deal. So that's like the covenant, the deal that God had with His people. He says, I want to bless you. I want to keep you in this great land that I've given you, and I want to take care of you, but I need you to follow me. Don't follow other gods. Don't disobey the rules that I've given you. But time and time again, God's people would fall away from Him. So we know about King Saul was their first king, and then we had King David, who was a really good king who followed God. King Solomon, he was a wise man, but he followed other gods too, or he at least would allow his family to worship other gods. And then after that, we have a bunch of bad kings, where the whole country of God, all of God's people, kind of falls apart. It's broken into two parts, and then we'll have like a bunch of bad kings, and then like maybe one good king, and then a bunch more bad kings. So pretty much God's people had just fallen away from Him. They weren't following God, they were following other gods. They were doing things that were really wrong, like terrible, terrible things. And so God said, I'm sorry, like I can't keep blessing you, and you are gonna keep just going away from me. So that means that God kind of removed His protection from the people and said, like, if you wanna be on your own, you're on your own. Okay, so then here is where Daniel comes into our story. So the people of God and the nation of God had fallen away from God. And so the king of Babylon comes in and takes over. He grabs up a bunch of slaves, a bunch of people from the people of Israel. He takes them back to Babylon. And he especially wants to get all of these really smart, strong young men to serve under him. So Daniel is one of those guys. He had a few friends who were there with him too. You might remember another story called Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Well, those are some of his buddies. But here we have Daniel, and he is serving Nebuchadnezzar, and he's actually really wise. He gives him good counsel. He gives him good advice. Nebuchadnezzar really likes him. He's like, yeah, Daniel, he's a stand-up guy. Like if I ask him to do something, he does it. He doesn't lie to me. And Daniel keeps continuing to follow his God. Daniel was a good man, even though the people of God had pretty much fallen away from God. There were still some really good men. So Daniel was one of them, and he continues every day to pray to his God, our God. And then these guys, these are the Babylonian leaders under the king. They are not happy with Daniel. They're jealous because, this Israelite guy, he comes over here and all of a sudden he's the favorite of the king. we don't like him, like he's not even one of us, and why aren't we the favorite? So they actually make a plan to kind of trick the king. So they're like, hey, King Nebuchadnezzar, don't you think it would be a great law if you said no one in the whole land is able to pray to anybody but you? They kind of set him up, okay, because they know that Daniel prays to God, to his God, our God, every day. So they told Nebuchadnezzar, like, that would be a great law. That way, everyone is only worshiping you, everyone's only praying to you. So then Nebuchadnezzar did not realize that they were plotting against Daniel. So he says, yeah, that's great. Let it be so. Let's make that law. Okay? And the thing about the laws, once you make them, you can't unmake them. That was how their laws were in Babylon. Okay, so Nebuchadnezzar gets tricked. He makes a law saying that anyone who is caught praying to anybody but me can be put to death. So what do you think Daniel does? He trusts in God. He knows that God is trustworthy. He knows that no matter what, I'm going to do what my God tells me to do, even if it means I have to be killed, even if there's consequences. He knows that God is trustworthy no matter what. So he trusts in God. He does what is right. He continues to pray. So these guys, they set him up. They know he's going to be in his room praying. So then they like bust in on him like, we knew it. You were praying. They tell King Nebuchadnezzar, Daniel was praying. We saw him in his room. Now Nebuchadnezzar starts to realize, okay, that's why they had this great idea for this law. They wanted to set up Daniel, who is one of my favorites. So then Nebuchadnezzar has to ask him, were you really praying? Yes, I was. He's not going to lie. He says, yes, I was, and I'll continue to pray every day. I'll pray to my God. So now Nebuchadnezzar's upset because he can't take back the law that he made. It was his own law. But he said that whoever prayed to anyone else was going to be killed. So he's put in a bad spot. He's pretty irritated with these guys, his leaders, who he now realizes set him up for this. So he has no choice. He has the guard come, take Daniel. They throw him down into a den. Imagine like a hole in the ground. They throw him down in there, and guess what's down there in that hole? Lions. It's a lion's den. So they throw him down in there, and they cover it up with a rock. But Nebuchadnezzar doesn't want Daniel to die. So Nebuchadnezzar's like, Daniel, I hope that your God will protect you. I hope it'll be okay. Nebuchadnezzar doesn't follow his same God, but he's like, I hope your God will protect you. I don't want you to die. So they throw him in there. They cover up the lion's den. He's in there all night long. So let's put him over here with these lions. Okay. So he's in there. They cover him up. In the morning, Nebuchadnezzar's like, oh man, I hope Daniel's not dead. So he says, go over there, take off the lid of the cave. They look down in there, and Daniel is just chilling with the lions. God had sent an angel to close up the mouth of the lions so that they wouldn't eat Daniel. So Daniel was in there all night long in the lion's den and wasn't killed. So Nebuchadnezzar's like, oh, that's wonderful, great, take him out of there. He's happy. He says, Daniel's God is a real true God. And not only that, you guys who tricked me, you will be thrown into the lion's den. So he takes these guys, these bad guys who are tricking him, he throws them in the lion's den. It doesn't work out so well for these guys. These guys do not make it. Okay, so there's those bad guys in the lion's den. Okay, so here is the lesson that we can learn from Daniel. Okay, Daniel knew that when he was thrown into the lion's den, there was a possibility he would be eaten. There was actually a really good chance, okay, because the lions are hungry. They keep the lion's den to feed people to lions, okay? So he knew that he could very well be eaten. He knew that God had the ability to save him, but he didn't know what God's will was, because sometimes God saves you from the lion and sometimes you die. And we don't always know what God's plan is, but he knew that either way, he was going to trust in God because God had led him his whole life. God had taken care of him. He trusted in the word of God. He knew who God was, and he knew that he was trustworthy. So he was like, whether I live or die, I will continue to serve my God. I'm not going to pray to Nebuchadnezzar the king. I'm only going to continue to pray to my God. I hope that I can have that kind of trust in God. I hope I do. Sometimes we don't really know how strong our trust in God is until we are put to a test, until someone says, you can't do that, or you're going to have a punishment, or you're going to have a consequence. And then we have to decide, am I going to continue to pray to God, even though I could get in trouble? Am I going to continue to read my Bible, even though I could go to jail? Because there are a lot of places in the world that is a real possibility, that it's breaking the law to do those kind of things. So the more that we know God, the more that we are able to trust him, the more that we know that he wants good things for us. And even though sometimes there's a good outcome and sometimes there's a bad outcome, what seems to be a bad outcome, like what if Daniel had been eaten by the lions? Would we say, oh no, God wasn't trustworthy? No, we would just have to trust that that was part of his plan. Sometimes it's part of a bigger plan that we don't understand. But the more that we know God, the more that we can trust that he wants good things and that he just wants to take care of his people so that he can be glorified, so that more people can be brought to him. So I am going to give you your verse. It is, give me 1 second, Jeremiah 17:7. Blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord. Blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord. Let's ask the Lord to help us to increase in our trust for him so that we can be a Daniel, so that we can really know who God is, know that he wants to take care of us, know that he has a bigger plan, so that no matter what anyone does around us or no matter what any consequences are, we can continue to serve him, to pray to him, to have a relationship with him. Okay? I will see you back again on Wednesday with a new lesson. So shoot me a comment or send me a picture. I would love to see you even practicing the verse just so that we can have a little bit of connection. And also, I'm making some big plans for Mother's Day, so be on the lookout for that, okay? I didn't forget about you moms. I'm going to make a plan and make a connection with you so that we can get a fun little project worked out for that. All right, guys, I love you and I miss you.